Hello, I'm Joseph Barker, and welcome to the Finding Ability podcast, a place where people are able, adaptable, brave, loving, and exceptional. This is a place where we get into deep conversations about how we can make our lives better and how we can make the world a better place. Hello, and welcome to the Finding Ability podcast. I am Joseph Barker, and this is it. This is the first true episode. It's a solo cast. It's kind of just going to be talking about what this show is and what is Finding Ability. If you don't know me, my name's Joseph Barker, former Paralympic swimmer, competed in the 2008 Beijing Paralympics, and since then I've kind of had a life that's gone down the rabbit holes of yoga, therapeutics, mindfulness, and kind of optimization of just being a human being, coming into deeper levels of awareness and peace and strength and all of that, and helping others get there as well. This is the 7-year mark of me doing this work full time, and is the very beginning of me starting to share a lot of the conversations that I have with people who are amazing, and mostly I'm creating this because I feel like there's a lot of wisdom that can be taken on by the people who listen. And so what is Finding Ability? Well, my main download, or my main kind of idea that came out for this was the idea of everyone is able. Everyone is adaptable, brave, loving, and exceptional, and really focusing on those stories of how are people adaptable, how are people brave, how are we loving, how are we exceptional, and spending time with people who've overcome quite a lot, and who have created amazing lives, and spending time in that space so that others who may be on a similar journey can feel some kind of grounding or some reassurance that they're not alone. Some kind of honorable mentions into this. I really feel like Kirby Cote is one of my guardian angels, if you believe in them. She was on the 2008 Paralympic team as well, was a visually impaired swimmer. By the time I was on the team, she had actually retired and then came back. She was going to school to become a massage therapist, and out of everyone on the team, we clicked the best, and I feel like we really had a great relationship and a kind of instant knowingness of like who each other were, outside of swimmers, or outside of being a swimmer and the swim lifestyle. And at that point in my life, that was kind of important. Swimming definitely took over as any kind of passion can. It can take you over, and you can really only understand or spend time with people who are also involved with it. And so I had always tried to keep some balance in my life and not let go of certain kind of aspects of myself, my creativity, my love of art and music, and my kind of creation of those things. And so it was a kind of instant bond. And Kirby was the first person to show me about this idea of fascia within the body, and how to release that with some simple kind of massage techniques, which is funny because that really started so much within my life. After that, a lot of friends, coworkers, fellow swimmers would ask for help on a somewhat regular basis. So then I felt like a lot of the time I was, giving people sessions, even though I had no training and didn't really know what I was doing, but I knew that it helped, and that was all that was important to me at that time. And the whole idea of this podcast really came out and got the fire started due to a conversation with Kirby earlier this year, in which we live in a world now where there's so much media, podcasts, YouTube, all the streaming services, the documentary Rising Phoenix came out, which really brought a lot of attention and focus onto the para world. And there's a lot of people inside of that world who have amazing stories, and this idea of disability and ability is a really, to me, it's a really interesting one, because as someone who is, in quotes, physically disabled or physically different, whatever the heck you want to say, I see everyone having abilities and disabilities. Some people are just not good at taxes or paperwork. Some people are really great at canoeing and handstands and building things. And so my kind of thoughts on ability and disability is a lot more looking at things from like a macro perspective, and how can people bring a bit more awareness into their own life to maybe make themselves a bit more abled, or to feel abled. I feel like so much of the time it's really easy for us to get lost in what we can't do or what we want to do, and we forget about the things that we have done and that we can do. It's easy to get distracted and to think that we should be somebody else outside of who we are. Like, we should have a better job, or we should have different hobbies and be really good at those, just because we see someone else on social media or in a movie do that. We think it's so cool that we then lose track of ourselves. And so my relationship with Kirby Cote is one that has been really helpful. I eventually, after several years of looking more and more into yoga therapeutics and meditation, realized that structural integration, which is a manual therapy that's based around the fascial system of the body, that to me seemed to have the most efficacy within my own body, and when working on others had the most efficacy. So I then went into that training, and I've been doing that work ever since, working on my own body, but also working on others. And so Kirby Cote has a lot to do with that. So I thank you. I'm really grateful for that friendship and for that kind of like guiding star. Another mention that I'd like to make is Adam Purdy, a swimmer out of London, Ontario. When I was in high school, I won several awards for like being full of team spirit. I wasn't always the best player, but I was always at every single practice, and I always worked hard to keep the morale up for everybody else around, and to push people, and to push myself. And when I say push people, I don't mean telling them what to do. I mean embodying what it means to be really good, and to then inspire others into similar action. And so there was a gala after I won several of these awards for the local high school athletes in my city, London, Ontario. And Adam Purdy was there speaking about what it's like to be a Paralympian, what it's like to be a swimmer, and what that experience is to be an athlete for for your nation and to be a professional athlete. And I just thought that it was so awesome. And that was it. This was before I even swam. This was when I was playing rugby and curling, and playing football. Although the football only lasted a year. It was in seeing Adam so calmly and in a centered way explain his experience, and just, it comes from a lot of love and a lot of hard work and a lot of support from your friends and your family and your team and your coach. So I never had any expectations or thoughts that I would fall down a similar path. It just seemed to happen. And I was lucky enough to be able to train with Adam for, I believe, about 6 to 8 months or so before he eventually retired. He's a great dude. To describe Adam Purdy is pretty much think of Adventure Time animation tattooed all over his arms. I think the artist is Jesse Jacobs, who's a London, Ontario artist, who actually just released Spinch, which is a Nintendo Switch game. So shout out to Jesse Jacobs. Shout out to James Kirkpatrick, who did the music for that game. And yeah, just a big shout out to Adam Purdy for letting me know that even though I'm a person who's a bit different, that there is success to be had if you want to put the effort in. And if you don't, that's okay too. That's a certain kind of person that really is able to want something and to practice something. And so, what is this podcast? For me, it's an attempt to have those deep, meaningful conversations with people who have done amazing things, and to kind of to maybe mine some gemstones of wisdom or knowledge, and not just to inspire people who listen or who watch or whatever it might end up being, but for people to take then steps forward. As this continues, I'm going to be putting out various content for people to connect better with their body, their breath, and to take some real big steps forward in being able to do that stuff. Infinite gratitude to my swim coaches and to my teachers in my programs, everyone who's been on my path. I want to thank you so much. When I was in my early teens, I really didn't know who I was or what I wanted to do. And to a certain capacity, maybe that's still the same. But I never would have thought that I would have come to the successes that I have had. Being able to tour internationally and to represent Team Canada, which is a country that I love very much. Turtle Island might not be the place of my ancestors, but it's been the country that's held me and my parents for my whole life. Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of conversations about people being adaptable, brave, loving, and excellent. And I'm just so excited to go on that path. Thank you so much for listening to this little solo cast. And I hope you're well. Much love.